Chers Canadiens, merci. Merci, chers Canadiens. Je vous aime aussi. I love you too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's with profound gratitude that I stand before you today at the moment of this historic election. Because only in Canada could the story that Anna and I bring to the stage be possible. Adopted son of school teachers and a Venezuelan refugee, stand on this stage in front of our proud country, offering ourselves up to serve for the future, after millions of people have shown up and marked their X, spoken their voice, and exercised their democratic rights. We could not be more proud, we could not be more grateful for the opportunity the Canadians have given us. And speaking now of Anna, I want to take a moment to thank my incredible wife. She's been by my side. She's my rock. I love and cherish you and our little ones more than you'll ever know, and I could not have done any of this without you. Thank you so much. I love you. Now, my message to Canadians. The promise that was made to me and to all of you is that anybody from anywhere could achieve anything, that through hard work you could get a great life, you could have a nice, affordable home on a safe street. My purpose in politics is and will continue to be to restore that promise. Thank you. To the candidates who ran under our banner as Conservatives, to the volunteers who knocked on the doors, made phone calls, put up lawn signs, rallied at our events, donated their hard-earned money to our cause, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. To the millions of people who voted for the Conservative Party and put their hopes and dreams in our vision, thank you. It will be an honor to continue to fight for you and to be a champion of your cause as we go forward. Ça serait un grand honneur de continuer de me battre pour vous, parce que c'est un honneur d'être votre voix, c'est un honneur de me battre pour les valeurs conservatrices pour lesquelles vous avez voté, et surtout, ça va être un honneur de continuer d'avancer la promesse du Canada, que chacun ici au Canada qui travaille fort pour avoir une belle vie et une belle maison abordable dans une communauté sécuritaire. C'est ça notre vision et on va le ramener chez nous. Merci beaucoup. To my fellow Conservatives, we have much to celebrate tonight. We've gained well over 20 seats. We got the highest share of vote. Our party has received since 1988. We denied the NDP and Liberals enough seats to form a coalition government, meaning and we did all of this in a very difficult environment. That said, we are cognizant of the fact that we didn't quite get over the finish line yet. We know that change is needed, but change is hard to come by. It takes time. It takes work. And that's why we have to learn the lessons of tonight so that we can have an even better result the next time the Canadians decide the future for the country. Canadians have opted for a razor-thin minority government, a virtual tie in the vote count. So I would like to congratulate Prime Minister Carney on leading this minority government. We'll have plenty of opportunity to debate and disagree, but tonight we come together as Canadians. We will do our job. Yes, we will do our job to hold the government to account. But first, we congratulate people from all political backgrounds on participating in the democratic process. And as I said, while we will do our constitutional duty of holding government to account and proposing better alternatives, we will always put Canada first as we stare down tariffs and other irresponsible threats from President Trump. Conservatives will work with the Prime Minister and all parties with the common goal of defending Canada's interests and getting a new trade deal that puts these tariffs behind us while protecting our sovereignty and the Canadian people. I want to thank my Conservative team, my caucus, my members of the Conservative staff and others who've helped reshape the entire political landscape in this country. Conservatives have achieved major breakthroughs tonight. We brought in record support from blue-collar and unionized workers, youth, new Canadians. We gave voices to countless people across this country who've been left out and left behind for far too long. We won the big debates of our time on the carbon tax, on inflation, on housing, on the drug crisis, on crime. Conservatives have been leading the debate, and we will continue to put forward the best arguments to improve the lives of our people right across this country. But we will not stop there. Every single day, our Conservative caucus and I will be holding the government to account on behalf of the millions of Canadians who believed in the message of change. En tant que parti, on a grandement élargi notre soutien et chaque jour, le caucus conservateur et moi allons travailler à Ottawa pour rendre des comptes du gouvernement au nom des millions de Canadiens qui ont décidé de voter pour un vrai changement. J'ai eu l'honneur de parcourir le pays et parler aux milliers de personnes qui ont partagé leurs préoccupations, leurs peines, leurs espoirs. Everywhere I went, hard-working people took precious time out of their day to tell me about their struggles, their pain, their fears, but also their hopes and dreams. Welders and waitresses, farmers and factory workers, seniors, small business owners, and single mothers, young Canadians and young families pleading for the chance to own a home, parents who worried that their kids would never be able to move out of their home, grandparents who saw their grandchildren suffering from the shortfalls of our economy, and countless others who are afraid to go outside because of the rising wave of crime. All of these stories touched my heart and gave me inspiration to work towards something better. These people continue to need voices, and I will continue to fight for them every day, and every day we will never give up on fighting for the Canadian people. Thank you. We hear your stories. We will carry those stories with us into Parliament. We will not forget the people for whom we work and for whom we fight every day. Now, I know that some of you might be disappointed that change did not get over the finish line tonight. Change takes time. Most of all, it requires that we never give up, because our people and our country are worth fighting for. Je vous ai entendu et j'ai apporté vos histoires avec moi tout au long de cette campagne. Et vos histoires vont rester avec moi lorsque je me bats avec mon équipe conservatrice pour vous défendre et pour avancer vos intérêts. À ceux qui ont désespéré besoin de changement, je sais que vous êtes déçus. Le changement est difficile et ça prend du temps. Surtout, ça veut dire qu'on peut jamais lâcher. parce que notre pays et son peuple méritent qu'on se batte pour eux. I will never give up on fighting for everyone who stood with us today and the millions of people who voted for other parties. And so, my message tonight, for the single mother working 2 jobs but still has an empty fridge and an empty bank account, for the young people who despair at never being able to afford a home, for the seniors on fixed incomes whose savings are eroded by inflation and no longer feel safe in their local neighborhood parks, for those who are now living in fear and terror because of crime, for those worried about losing their jobs because of unacceptable tariffs from the United States of America, for all of those who feel left behind and forgotten, my message is one of hope. Change will take time, but we will fight for that change, and we will deliver that change. And we will never give up on fighting for the great Canadian promise that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house on a safe street protected by our brave troops under our proud flag. Canada first, Canada always. Let's bring it home. Thank you very much, Canada. Merci.
Hello.
First.
Yeah, just over here. Yes.
Hi there.
The correction form.
Not far from home.
The point right here is just the so if there's any of these, those are the ones that collect.
Good to see you.
Registration. Yeah.
We have it down.
So you're just gonna make yep, you can put it on the side. Just whatever's easier for you to keep track of. Yep.
You're a sir? Yes.
So, ballot?
Awesome. You can just put it right here.
Yes, sir.
This size of the ballot.
Thank you so much for coming.
Interference with the election process,
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
For you. So once you've gone to the back and marked the board headed down to the back side of the circle.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's just
Again.
so it was the other lady. Her name was
Hi there.
she didn't vote. So she can't tell.
Where do you live?
6923 Lakes Park Drive.
Oh, wow. You're not far away.
At the house
Oh, Terry.
Terry.
Yes. And Dennis.
Where Terry, did Dennis move?
Yep, this November.
Where'd they move to?
Downtown, I think. His wife was having health issues.
She's had some issues for a long time.
So I think
Interesting. Well, we'll be seeing a lot of you at some point.
at some point, I guess you got people living there right now, right?
Yes, we rented it out. Many blessings to you. Good to
thanks
see
a
you.
lot.
Thank
Is
you.
that the ballot in your hand? I'm just gonna ask you just to put it in your box there before you.
I haven't voted.
You gotta go vote. You gotta do what you're doing today.
Let's come forward.
All right. Thank you.
Morning, sir.
You know, it happens. It happens. That's what we're here.
Nice. The ballots. I'm sure you saw over there. This big long one here. Once you march your candidate down to the X inside the circle, and you fold it over like this. Fold it over again. And once I've torn this off,
And you're going to stick it in that box right there.
okay, thanks.
No problem.
There we go. And we're going to have you fold it over again.
Thank you so much.
Once more, so that my initial and the number here is visible. Okay. You are set. Once you're done, ballot box. Excellent. You have.
Can we go back together?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, same thing.
First. All right, everyone, get out to vote for a change. Thank you. Have a great day, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thanks for your work, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for your work. Okay.
Thank you. Who's voting for change? Who's voting for affordable food and homes for a change? Who's voting for safe streets for a change? And who's voting to bring home Canada's promise for a change? Wow, quel excellent regroupement de nos citoyens ici dans la capitale nationale. On est ici pour un mot, c'est le changement. Un changement pour une vie abordable, une vie sécuritaire et un Canada qui est plus fort. Allons voter pour le changement demain. Wow, what an incredible crowd. It's great to be back here near our home in Greeley. There's so many familiar faces. Anybody here from Greeley? You know, this is the night before the election. How many of you voted already? And how many are going to drag out friends and neighbors to go and vote for change tomorrow? It reminds me of one election. It was very, very close, and it was the night before. And actually, no, it was the night of, sorry. And it was around 15 minutes before the polls were closed. And we were out knocking on the doors of our supporters, begging them to get out and cast their ballots. We got to the house of this very elderly woman. And I said, can we count on you to get out and vote? You've got 15 minutes left. She said, no. I said, why not? She said, we're too old. We can't get out anymore. I said, we'll drive you. She said, well, we can't even make it to the car. I said, well, we'll carry you. She said, I'm very sorry, but I'm gonna call it a night. She closed the door. So I walked out into the street and I said, you know, there's about 10 minutes left. there's no other person I'm going to be able to convince to get out to vote. I'm going to go give it another shot. So I went back to her door and I pleaded, and she said, oh, all right. And so we went in, we helped her husband down the stairs, we got to the door, and we were about to walk out. She said, do I need anything? I said, well, you need some ID. She said, well, my husband hasn't been driving for 10 years. He's got no ID. So she had to go and scrounge up a bill. And so we brought them out, we got them to the car. There wasn't room enough for the two of us volunteers to jump in with the driver. So we stayed behind where they tore off to the polling station to try and make it just before the polls closed. Sure enough, it started to rain. And where we were in the pouring rain, a few moments later they came back, and I went to our volunteer driver and said, did you make it in time? He said, we made it 1 minute before, and they closed early. So I banged on the door and they opened it up, and I said, you have to let them vote. So they went in and voted, and they came back out and exercised their democratic right. And so we were helping them back into the house, and just as they were about to go in the door, I took the lady by the hand and I said, thank you, thank you, thank you for what you did. I know it wasn't easy. And she said, and who are you again? So I have no idea if she voted for me, but she voted for someone. The point of the story is get out and vote. Vote for change. Vote for a brighter future. Vote for your kids. Allons voter pour le changement. There is so much at stake in this election, my friends. This is the future of our country we're voting on. There are so many people across the country that have vested their hope in this campaign. People who feel like they're just hanging on by a thread. Families who believe they're on a treadmill that goes faster and faster. They run further and further, but they never actually move forward, and often they feel they're falling further and further behind. Young Canadians who believe they'll never be able to afford a home. In Riverside South, there was a young man who called me and told me the story that his mother had the exact same job at the exact same office that he has. The difference is that she was able to buy a house in Ottawa when she was 28 years old. And now this gentleman is coming on to his 30s and he has no hope, so he's still living with his mom. He couldn't even imagine buying the same home that she was able to buy doing the same job. And we have countless people who feel no longer safe in their streets. They go to bed worried their car might not be there when they wake up in the morning. They worry about their kids. They've cut back on their diets. They're living paycheck to paycheck. The small business people that have no idea how they're going to make payroll in a few weeks because their tax bill, their gas bill, their heat bill keeps on rising. And the windows got smashed the other day. These are the stories that people tell us every day. But you know something? I have hope, because we can turn this around. We have in our grasp, at our fingertips, the ability to choose change and chart a new and better course for our country. And that is the choice. After the lost Liberal decade of rising cost and crime, we can't afford a fourth Liberal term. We need a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, unleash our resources, and bring home the Canadian promise. C'est ça le choix. C'est ça le choix demain. On a un choix. Est-ce qu'on va payer le prix pour un quatrième mandat des libéraux après une décennie perdue, de coûts hors de contrôle? Ou est-ce qu'on va prendre la décision pour faire changement avec un nouveau gouvernement conservateur qui va couper la bureaucratie, les taxes et les impôts, libérer la construction de logements et nos ressources pour que nous puissions être un pays sécuritaire et abordable? C'est ça le changement qu'on va choisir demain. But I know all of our candidates have been introduced already today, and I have some terrible news for them. Their summer vacation is canceled. We're going to be tomorrow. We're going to be kicking off 100 days of change, and it involves passing 3 sweeping change bills. It's going to be the Affordability for a Change Act, the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act, the Safe Streets for a Change Act, And we will keep Parliament open all summer long until every single one of these bills is passed for a change. Change cannot wait. So the politicians are going to have to sell off their golf clubs on eBay or rent out their cottages because they're going to be busy on Parliament Hill working away to get the job done. The Affordability Act for a change. We will cut $55 billion of waste by cutting consultants, streamlining bureaucracy, reducing foreign aid, and capping government spending so that we can afford our government again. Canada first. How do we like them apples? Nice. Show everybody. There you go. Great kid. Maybe I think she could be a future cabinet minister right here, eh? She's our Minister of Communication. How do you like them apples? We're going to reward work again. The hardworking people here in these communities deserve to keep more of their paycheck for a change, so Conservatives will cut income tax by 15%. We'll get rid of the electric vehicle mandate to save you money on your car and put you back in the driver's seat for a change. We're going to get rid of the capital gains tax when you reinvest your money here in Canada for a change. And then there's the carbon tax. It's still the law of the land. They hid the tax from the pumps for a few weeks right before the election, thinking that they would trick Canadians into re-electing them for a fourth term, at which point they can put the tax back on higher than ever when they no longer need your vote but still need your money. They want to raise that tax on steel, driving our industry south of the border. My friends, I am the only leader who has consistently opposed this carbon tax, and as Prime Minister, within the first 100 days, I will pass a law to axe the tax for everything, for real, for good, for a change. And our young people are going to have homes to live in again, to start families. You know, it was only 13 years ago, my wife bought her home in Orleans. What was it? What did you pay for that again? $230,000. 2012. How many bedrooms? 2 bedrooms. This was before me. I can't take any credit for this. She got this on her own. And you were young. You were basically well, back then you were basically a teenager, I mean, right? She was 25 years old. She could buy a beautiful home in Orleans. And that's not with help from family. That's with the hard work that she did herself. That was the norm. In their 20s, young people used to be able to buy a nice place to live. And that meant that they could start their lives and build families and in wonderful places like Barrhaven and Greeley and Riverside South. But now, those homes are too expensive, and many of our young people feel shut out. The biggest single expense that goes into a new home today is taxes and bureaucracy. A third goes to taxes, another roughly third goes to the delays, the permitting, the lawyers, the consultants. More money for a new home goes to bureaucracy, to bureaucrats, than goes to the carpenters, electricians, and plumbers that actually build the homes. This makes no sense, and we will lead the way to fix it. As part of our 100 days of action, Conservatives will axe the federal sales tax on new homes to save you up to $65,000 for a change. We'll incentivize our municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut their development charges as well to bring $100,000 of taxes off of the homes. We will sell off unused federal land and buildings for 300,000 future homes to be built. And we will incentivize cities to permit 15% more homes, all of which will allow us to build 2.3 million homes over the next 5 years so you can get a start for a change. And we want We want to bring home powerful paychecks to those homes. We're going to unleash our economy, $500 billion of extra economic growth by repealing the anti-energy and development laws, C-69, the energy cap. We're going to rapidly approve pipelines, mines, LNG plants, data centers, and much more to bring home our paychecks to Canada and become more economically independent so we can stand on our own 2 feet and stand up to anyone who gets in our way for a change. And we want those paychecks to come home to safe neighborhoods. So we will stop the crime for a change. Right across. Is there any crime in Ottawa these days? Is it worse than it used to be? Yeah, a lot worse. Out of control. He says some of it happens on Parliament Hill, he says. What's that? Well, there's a lot of crime going on right across the country. Violent crime up 50%. Gun crime up 116%. Extortion up 350%. My friends, this is the result of liberal catch and release hug-a-thug laws that turn the same repeat offenders loose again and again on our streets. C-75 requires the judges release the accused at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions, meaning that the same 40 offenders in Vancouver had to be arrested 6,000 times. That means once every 2 days, each of these guys was arrested. They basically have to be doing crime all day, every day, to get arrested every 2 days. It's insane. And then there's house arrest, C5. You can be a career car thief, having stolen 100 cars, and you get your sentence in your living room, watching Netflix or playing Grand Theft Auto. And then you just walk right out of the streets and do it all over again. They tell the police they're not even afraid of getting caught. They don't even bother trying to avoid capture. They leave the evidence everywhere because it's more hassle to dodge getting caught than it is just to go in and out of the revolving door. Well, my friends, as part of the 100 days of change, we will repeal C-75, catch and release. We will repeal house arrest. We'll repeal the Paul Bernardo get out of jail free card and make sure he stays in a max pen. We will pass the 3 strikes you're out law, 3 convictions, no more bail, no more parole, no more house arrest, no more probation. It will be jail, not bail, jail, not bail. Offenders will, if they want to ever get out of jail, will no longer have a statutory release. Those with multiple convictions will have to earn their way out of prison with perfect behavior, clean drug tests, and learning an employable skill to ensure that when they get out, they'll be contributing members of our society, not going on carrying on crime. That ends for a change. We're going to stand up for the law-abiding people right across the country. That means that we're going to secure our borders with 2,000 more border guards, more watchtowers along the frontier, scanners of shipping containers to intercept the drugs, guns, and stolen cars that come in and go out of our country. And we will pay for all of this by canceling the ridiculous multi-billion-dollar gun grab that targets law-abiding, trained and tested hunters and sport shooters. The hunters, the farmers, and Grandpa Joe, they're not the problems. Grandpa Joe and his hunting rifle are not what's shooting up our communities. It's illegal firearms. Speaking of our farmers, do we have any farmers here? Is Earl Stanley here? Earl Stanley? Earl's around here somewhere. Earl's from an old farming family. Earl's back there. He's busy. He's on his tractor right now? Right. You know, I think I came here when my early days in politics. I actually won the plowing match here. So this is a good omen that I'm back here again. I won the plowing match. I was briefly a farmer. I was outstanding in my field. And, but Earl, you're going to have to testify, in fact, that I won the plowing match. And that's a skill. You got to be able to plow in a straight line, go from one end to the other and get to the end. That's what it means in politics. We need more of the common sense of the farmers, the small business owners, the single moms, the seniors. A little bit of that common sense for a change might make the government run a lot better. And we're going to make sure that we as a nation are safe and secure. That requires we rebuild the great Canadian Armed Forces, our military, our troops. We will be building 4 massive Canadian-made icebreakers to take back our icy waters and prevent the Russians and Chinese from incursions in our territory. Canada is going to protect its sovereignty. We're going to rely on no other nation for that. We are going to be a nation that protects itself. We'll have new landing runways in the north. We will fill all the vacancies in the Army, Navy, and Air Force. We will get those Poseidon aircraft up in the sky, surveilling the waters to look down and make sure there are no foreign submarines in our territories. And we will build, I should say, the first Arctic base in Canada since the Cold War, CFB Iqaluit. CFB Iqaluit will be a nerve center so that Canada can exercise its strength and propel and project power right throughout the Arctic territories and make sure that we are able to defend ourselves and protect our nation and the territory with which we have been so blessed as a nation. We will be honoring our history, and most of all, we will restore the faith of our veterans by giving them the treatment and the honor that they deserve. No more having to fight government departments for the benefits that you're owed. Thank you very much for your service to the country, sir. I see your beautiful medals there. Give it up for our veterans. We will expand helmets to hard hats so the young veterans can go on making money in the trades, earning powerful paychecks, working in civilian jobs. The older veterans will get automatic assistance for the disabilities that they incurred as a result, directly or indirectly, of their service. And never again will we allow the bureaucracy to express to a young veteran who's wounded and suffering that the best way out is medical assistance in dying. We want people to live with dignity. We want our veterans to understand that we appreciate them. In fact, they are the symbol of everything that is great about our country. We will have a government that is grateful, not only for the heroes of the present, but the heroes of the past. Those people who built this country. If we can see over the horizon, it's because we stand on the shoulders of giants. We will no longer be tearing down statues. We will be building new statues. We will fill our beautiful passport with all of the heroes of the past. Terry Fox, the famous 5, the Canadian military. We will restore our freedom by repealing censorship laws so that you can speak your mind and express yourself. We will put Canadians back in charge of their lives. We will have a government that is servant rather than master. That's what Prime Minister means. The word minister actually has its root in the word servant. The Prime Minister is the first servant of the country, and his job. And I would be honored to serve each and every one of you. This is it, my friends. We're almost there. It's been quite a journey. You know, I launched my campaign for leadership of this party and to run for Prime Minister almost exactly 3 years ago to the day. And in that time, I've been to just over 180 of these rallies. Incredible. In just 3 years. It's been an incredible journey. We've had well over 100,000 people at those rallies, and up until the campaign, when things started moving really quick and I wasn't able to stop and spend the time, we had a hard rule that I would stand in line and greet one person after another, shake their hands, hear their stories, learn their concerns and their fears, but also hear about their hopes and their aspirations. And it's meant so much to me that you vested in me, your hope. It means a lot to know that people, I'm actually in awe, that so many people have put their hope that I can deliver for their future, for their lives. It means the world to me. Thank you. I'm deeply grateful. Thank you. Thank you. I want you to know that no matter what happens tomorrow, I will be there to fight for you, for your quality of life, for your future, for your hopes and aspirations, to bring home the Canadian promise that this country made and kept to my wife, Anna, and I. We both come from very humble beginnings. It is only in this country that we could be standing at this place. That's what makes Canada so special. It is a place where anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, where hard work gets you a great life in a safe neighborhood, in a beautiful, affordable house under a proud flag. And so I leave with a message of hope to that small businessman who's grinding away, wondering whether he's going to make it through another month. Have hope. Change is on the way. To the single mother whose fridge is empty, whose bank account is empty, whose stomach is empty, and worried that she might not be able to feed her kids tomorrow. Have hope. Change is on the way for you too. To the seniors who still have their adult children living in the basement and want them to have a house so that there can be grandkids and a brighter future, have hope. Change is on the way for you too. For all of the people who no longer recognize the country but are anxious to bring home the nation that we knew and still love, have hope. Change is on the way. Ayons de l'espoir. Il va y avoir un vrai changement pour un bel avenir. La promesse du Canada que chacun qui travaille fort peut avoir une belle vie dans une belle maison abordable sur une rue sécuritaire. That is the promise of Canada. It is my life's work to restore and uphold that promise for you and for all Canadians. Tomorrow is the day. Vote for the Canadian promise. Vote for change. Let's bring it home.
Hello, Peterborough, can you hear me? No. Is this audio working? No. Hang on, how about now? Well, well, look who showed up. Welcome to the county, folks. Peterborough County. What a day. I ordered this weather. You're welcome. I'm Michelle Ferreri, and I'm your Conservative candidate for Peterborough! I want to acknowledge my colleague and friend right there, Philip Lawrence from Northumberland Clark. Common sense conservative. He's taught me everything I know. Thanks, Philip. I want to give a big, big shout out to the Glenn family who is hosting us today on this beautiful property. You know, the Glens are so much like so many Canadian families. They farm the lands, they're generational farmers, they've worked really hard, they've built this incredible business, they give to their community, they care about their children's future, they're ready for a change, they give back. And you know, when I came here a couple weeks ago to do a tour, Paul took me into one of the buildings and he said, Michelle, I want to show you the big truck repairs we do. And I said, yeah. And he says, you know, remember when Mark Carney said we don't use any steel? He said, do you see any steel in here, Michelle? I said, you know, Paul, I do. They use a lot of steel and they make a big difference in our community and our country. And I'm so grateful to the Glenn family for hosting us here today. So I have a big question. After 10 years of Liberals, does your life feel better? Do they deserve a fourth term? I didn't think so. Who's ready for a change? We want change, folks. We want change, and we have just the party and the leader to do it. Change for affordability. Change, let's exchange tents for houses and subdivisions. Let's change addiction into treatment and recovery. Let's change criminals who are walking out free on bail, terrorizing our communities, into jail. Jail, not bail. It is time for a change, folks, and I have to tell you this story. This is emotional. We have all done everything to lead us here today. And when Pierre Poillievre won the 2022 Conservative leadership race, yeah, it was cool. You know, I went over to congratulate him, and he grabbed me by the shoulders. He's a very sensitive, compassionate guy. And he looked at me and he said, Michelle, we're going to help a lot of people. And that's what this is. And you are all the change we need. There is so much hurt. And you know what gets you through hurt? Hope. Hope is here, guys. Change is here. We have everything the world needs, and we have the leader with the courage to unleash it to make us the richest country in the world. We have a leader who is ready to turn hurt into hope, and we have a leader who is going to restore the dream of Canada. And I am so honored to stand here with you, and I am so grateful for you showing up and doing your part. And it is the biggest honor to welcome this man. So please give the biggest Peterborough welcome to the next Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Poillievre!
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Who's voting for change? Who's voting for food and you can afford for a change? Who's voting to axe the taxes for a change? Who is voting for safe streets for a change? And who's voting to bring home the Canadian promise for change? Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Nous sommes ici aujourd'hui pour renforcer la promesse du Canada que chacun qui travaille fort peut avoir une belle vie dans une belle maison abordable sur une rue sécuritaire. Mais pour le faire, il faut que ça change. On ne peut pas payer le prix pour un 4e mandat libéral. On a besoin d'un nouveau gouvernement conservateur qui va couper les taxes et les impôts, bâtir des logements, libérer nos ressources et renforcer le Canada pour faire changement. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Thank you very much. This guy says he loves my jeans. I normally don't wear jeans. Thank you. This is, thank you, a treasured letter, a beautiful message. What an incredible crowd we have here today. Thank you very much for rallying for change with me today. Before I begin, I want to encourage everybody to offer their prayers to the Filipino community in British Columbia who faced a horrific attack yesterday. All of us are reaching out to them and offering our total solidarity. May the lost souls be blessed and rest in peace, and may their families have peace here on this earth. Thank you very much for sharing your prayers with them. This is a time of hope, a time to restore the promise that this country made to each and every one of us. A very simple promise. And it was this: you work hard, you get a good life, you get to live in a nice house, on a safe street, that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. That your origins don't matter. It doesn't matter where you come from. It matters where you're going, whether you've been here for 6 months or your family for 6 generations. That was the promise that every single Canadian was born into or arrived to receive when they came to Canada. But after the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime, that promise is broken. Everywhere I go, I meet people who are struggling and suffering. I meet parents who've lost loved ones, lost children to drug overdoses. Young people who say they'll never be able to buy a home and start a family like their parents could not long ago. I meet single mothers who go to bed hungry, their stomach, their fridge, and their bank account empty, not knowing how they'll pay the bills the next day. I met a man in British Columbia yesterday who's spending $5,000 a month on rent. All he does is work. This is not the country we were born into. This is the result of a disastrous liberal record over the last 10 years. We cannot afford a 4th term. Canada needs change. And I need Michelle Ferreri to help deliver that change. Michelle has been fighting for the people in and around Peterborough. She serves the people. She goes onto the street and meets with people who are trapped in homeless encampments or addicted to drugs. She is known to go and sit on a street corner with someone who is suffering with addiction, and she brings me their stories back to Parliament Hill. She's the kind of person who is genuinely a member of the House of the Common People, a real servant, a bottom-up, grassroots champion of the people. I need her to bring real change so you can afford food and homes and live in a safe street again. But I have some bad news for Michelle and also for Phil Lawrence. Phil Lawrence here, the great Phil Lawrence, Member of Parliament. One of our great shadow ministers as well, who's an entrepreneur, a lawyer, a great Canadian champion, a patriot, a father. He owns his own little vineyard. He loves to make some wine, so go and see him about getting a drink after. He didn't bring any to share with the crowd here, Phil. You might You might have got us some votes if you did that, but you know, I got some bad news for you. You're not going to be out in your vineyard much this summer. You're not going to be having any vacation. In fact, if you have fishing rods or golf clubs, you can sell them on eBay because the politicians are not getting a summer vacation this year. I have announced 100 days of change. We're canceling summer vacation to pass the Affordability for a Change Act, the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act, and the Safe Streets for a Change Act in the first 100 days of a new Conservative government. Because change can't wait. We need change now. The people who are struggling to feed their families, whose bank accounts are running empty, need the government to take action, reverse the disastrous policies of the last 10 years, and we need to do it immediately. Starting with the Affordability for a Change Act. This act will start by cutting $55 billion of wasteful government spending. Consultants will streamline bureaucracy, we will cut back on foreign aid. We'll bring in a dollar-for-dollar law, requiring we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending. In that way, we will cut the Liberal deficit by 70% to bring down inflation and interest rates. And on this point, this is a big disagreement we have with Mr. Carney. He wants to cake on another $130 billion of additional spending. On top of the previous debt Trudeau had projected, a fourth Liberal term would add $250 billion of extra inflationary debt that would drive up your cost of living. That is why we can't afford a fourth term. We need to bring down the cost of government, to bring down your cost of living, and we need to reward hard work again. And that's why Conservatives will cut your income tax by 15%. So you bring home more for a change. We will save the future of our children by stopping the debt the government keeps adding. Yeah. And then there is the Carney tax, this electric vehicle mandate. Have you heard about this? Starting next year, Mr. Carney wants to start to cap the number of gas and diesel-powered vehicles your local dealership can sell, and if they go over that quota, there will be a $20,000 per vehicle tax. That means, now, how many of you are going to be able to drive to Bob Cajun or drive up to the north? Anybody here from Bob Cajun? I think there was this. Was it named after a song, or was the song named after it? Or drive around Northern Ontario in a Tesla. You know, the Liberals want you to buy a foreign-made electric vehicle rather than supporting our own people. A $20,000 tax that will go then to subsidize Tesla charging stations and punish hardworking people who need their cars and trucks to live their lives, punish our farmers who need their automobiles and fossil fuels to power their agenda, power their work. My friends, Conservatives will axe the Carney tax and put you back in the driver's seat of what vehicle you drive. In fact, we will go further. To bring home automobile production to this country, we will axe the federal sales tax on Canadian-made automobiles for a change. We want 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 change. You'll have more change in your pocket. More change in your pocket. And you'll be able to bring it home, but you need a home to bring it to. Housing costs have more than doubled in the last 10 years of Liberal government, rising faster than in any other G7 country. Now an entire generation, for the first time ever, believes they'll never be able to afford a home. Our seniors worry about eviction. I still remember the trucker I met in Bowmanville who drove truck for 50 years, but they rent-evicted him raised his rent. He had to call his daughter and asked if he could live in her basement. These are the stories that people are living daily. Canadians cannot afford these high prices, and we shouldn't have to pay them. Housing should be dirt cheap in Canada because we have the most dirt to build on, by far. So what's driving up the cost? It's government bureaucracy. Taxes take up 1/3 of the cost of every newly built home in Ontario. Then there's the red tape on top of the taxes, the delays, the consultants, lobbyists, lawyers, accountants, and the other administrative costs that it takes just to get the permits, which are the second slowest in the OECD, 3 times longer than in the United States and in Great Britain. My friends, we're going to change this. We will lead the way. A new Conservative government will axe the federal sales tax on new homes to save you up to 65 grand on your purchase. We will pay the municipalities to cut their development charges to bring them down another 50 grand, saving you about 100 grand in taxes on a new home. We'll incentivize speeding up permits, freeing up land, and cutting those charges to build 15% more homes every year. We'll sell off federal land and buildings to build 300,000 homes. And altogether, our plan will build 2.3 million homes over the next 5 years, so you get an affordable roof overhead for a change. And we will also ensure you bring home powerful paychecks to those homes. That's why we're going to be passing the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act. It's designed to reverse the $500 billion of investment that's left for the United States over the last 10 years because of high taxes and blocking resources. We have the most resources of any country in the world. We should be the richest country in the world. We've got to get them out of the ground, though. We got to get them out of the ground. And that's why we will repeal the anti-energy, anti-development liberal law C-69 to build pipelines, mines, nuclear power stations, data centers, and we will grant permits for the Ring of Fire within 6 months to get digging those minerals here in Ontario for a change. We'll cut taxes on investment and reward farmers who decide to maybe sell to the next generation and reinvest in another business. We'll pass the Canada First Reinvestment Tax Cut, 0 capital gains tax when you reinvest the money in Canada. And we need the workers who are going to build stuff, fix stuff, move stuff, and make stuff. That means boots, not suits. So Conservatives will back funding for 350,000 young apprentices to get trained up as boilermakers, pipe fitters, carpenters, electricians. The people who build our country are going to get trained up by our government, and they're going to bring home incredible paychecks for a change. In fact, I'm going to be giving a present. We want change. The kids back there want change. Smart kids, eh? Look at this crowd. All these young people. Amazing. Thank you, my friend. Now, we're also I'm going to give a present to every high school principal. I know they say, healthcare is provincial, but there's nothing in the Constitution that says that the Prime Minister cannot give a gift to every single principal. It's going to be a box about the size of the back of this pickup truck. And in it will be a module for every Red Seal trade so that our schools can get 14-year-old kids started on pre-apprenticeships so they get a jump start on a great paycheck and a Red Seal ticket. We want those young people, though, to bring home their paycheck to safe neighborhoods. So we have to stop the crime for a change, don't we? Is there any crime around here? What kind of crime have you got? What's that? Tent? You've got a tent encampment. What else? Fentanyl. The drugs? Stabbing, shootings. The violence is out of control. Wasn't like this before, was it? Was this one of those places where 15 years ago you didn't even need to lock your door? Yeah. Remember those days? It's almost hard to believe that these same neighborhoods where people lived in total tranquility could fall asleep on their front porch and not wake up until the morning. And now they're afraid. Now they're afraid to even go grocery shopping. You know, in Toronto, the police say that you should leave your keys at the front door so that if a car thief comes along, he doesn't threaten your family. He can just take the keys in the car, and you'll find out about it when he wakes up in the morning. There are people in Toronto now, every time they hear a creak in their house, they assume it's someone coming to take those keys and take their car. My friends, it wasn't like this before the lost Liberal decade, and it won't be like this after they're gone. We're going to bring real change. The Safe Streets for a Change Act will repeal the Liberal catch and release bail law, C-75. It will repeal the Liberal house arrest law, C-5. Jail time will be done in jail, not in your living room. We will get rid of the Liberal Bill C-83, the Paul Bernardo get out of jail free card. He's going back to a maximum security penitentiary. He'll only come out in a box. We will pass the 3 strikes and you're out law. 3 serious convictions, you go to jail with no parole, probation, a house arrest, or early release, and you'll never get out until after 10 years, and you have perfect behavior, clean drug tests, and you learn a marketable skill so that you can contribute to society. You either do that or you stay in jail, because we do not want people back on our streets doing crime. The game is over. Our streets will be safe for a change. And we're going to stop the drugs. The drugs are out of control. Fentanyl, meth. Michelle tells me all about the incredible drug crisis that has worsened here in and around Peterborough over the last several years. Tent encampments have popped up. We've lost 50,000 of our loved ones to overdoses. That's more than died fighting for Canada in World War II. And British Columbia, it's one of the leading causes of death for anyone over the age of 10. It is an incredible tragedy that our people are suffering. And we know the answer. We need to stop the drugs from coming into our country with more secure borders that have high-powered scanners, watchtowers to intercept drugs, guns, stolen cars, and drones that bring paraphernalia over the border. We need 2,000 more CBSA officers, which we will deliver, so that we can stop these drugs from coming in. We need tougher sentences for the fentanyl mass producers and dealers. 40 milligrams is enough to kill 20 people. Anyone selling that amount is effectively committing mass murder. As a result, we will bring in life sentences for anyone caught dealing 40 milligrams of fentanyl. We will stop giving out tax-funded opioids, bring in tougher penalties. Instead of giving out drugs, we're going to give out treatment. We will offer treatment to 50,000 people across this country. They will have counseling, group therapy, physical exercise, yoga, job placement, housing. We're going to turn it around. And you know, I was at a treatment center in Moncton not long ago, and I sat down with a bunch of young guys who were getting their lives turned around, and they said, "Thank you for helping us." And I said, "Listen, I'm not the one helping. I actually came here to ask you for help. I need you. I have a job for you to do. You're going to get better, and then you're going to get out of here and go onto the street, and you're going to drag someone else in here. They're going to get better, and then they're going to go out on the street and drag one more person in, and we're going to, through that cycle, we're going to turn this around and save the lives of our loved ones. If you are addicted, my message is to you, have hope, hang on, help is on the way." And we are going to, as I said, we will secure our borders and lock up drug and gun smugglers. We're going to protect our people against the growing threat of illegal firearms that are responsible for all the gun crime. And we're going to pay for those toughened border measures by canceling the ridiculous multi-billion-dollar liberal gun grab. Liberals will ban your hunting rifle. Spread the message. Your hunting rifles will be banned if Liberals get reelected. We can't allow that to happen. Hunting is a legitimate part of life. You know, it's funny, they had a government report out the other day. Did you hear about this? More snakes than ladders, they called this section. And they predict that by 2040, groceries will be so expensive on the current path that people won't even go to grocery stores anymore. They'll have to illegally forage on public lands. Fish, hunt, forage. But with what? If you banned your hunting rifle, you're not even going to be able to do that. So I hope you guys are good at archery. So, listen, I want to protect Canadians from criminals. I don't want to protect turkeys from hunters. My job is to keep Canadians safe, and we will. We will honor our traditions of hunting and angling. We will respect rural communities and rural values once again for a change. And we are going to secure our borders by rebuilding the great Canadian Armed Forces, our military. We will fill the vacancies in the Army, Navy, and Air Force by Poseidon aircraft that will surveil and intercept the Chinese and Russian submarines that do incursions into our northern waters. We will build 4 massive, heavy Arctic icebreakers to break open that ice and keep our enemies out of our waters. We'll build new landing strips on the ground in the north. We'll build the first Arctic base in Canada since the Cold War, CFB, Iqaluit. And not only that, we will protect our veterans. They fought for us. It's time to have a government that fights for them for a change. We will be a country that upholds and celebrates its history. No more tearing down statues. We're going to build new statues to honor our history. And we will fill our passport once again with our heroes, Terry Fox, the famous 5, the Canadian military. We're going to be a patriotic nation that bows before no other country, that raises its flag, that honors its past, that's optimistic about its future, that secures its border, builds homes for its youth, protects its vulnerable, and goes marching forward with growing confidence. What binds us together is the Canadian promise, that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful home, on a safe street under our proud flag. And this is a message of hope. For the single mother out there struggling to feed your children, I want you to have hope, because change is on the way. To the abandoned veteran who feels like you've been left behind and dishonored by your government, have hope, because change is on the way for you too. To the seniors who worry that their kids will never be able to afford a home and bring them grandchildren, my message to you is have hope, because change is on the way for you too. But we need to stand up for change. We need to fight for change. And most of all, tomorrow, we need to vote for change. Vote for change so you can afford food and homes. Vote for change so you're safe in your street. Vote for change so that our flag flies high and we are proud and strong. My friends, let us bring home the country that we knew and love. Canada first, Canada always. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
change. So friends, I have one important question for you. After the lost liberal decade, with cost and crime up and our economy down, do you think that the Liberals deserve another 4 years term? Or is it time for change? Change to lower the cost for living, right? Change to build new homes so that our young Canadians can afford. Yes, I like that. I love it. Change to bring home safer streets, good jobs, and powerful paycheck. Is that the change you guys want? So let's get this right. We are voting for change, right? Change with a new conservative government that will change the course fast, right? We can't wait. That will cut tax and curb inflation. A government that will change the course to bring home housing, that will cut the red tape and taxes on new homes, to get Canada building again for our young people. It's time for change. It's time for Canada to take a different path. And I know just the man who would lead us. And I want to help him bring the change that Canadians desperately need. So friends, please join me in welcoming the next Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Poillievre.
Who's ready to vote for change? Who's voting for homes and food you can afford for a change? Who's voting for safe streets for a change? And who's voting to bring home our jobs so we can stand up with strength for a change? Now, before I get into, I love you too, my friend. I love all you. Thank you so much for being here. But before I begin my remarks today, I think we have to take a moment to acknowledge the horrendous attack that was carried out against our wonderful Filipino community in British Columbia very late last night. The number of deceased is still unknown, and all of us should take a moment today to say a wonderful prayer for all of those who've been lost and for the loved ones who have a big hole in their heart today. Thank you very much for your respect for them, and our hearts go out to all of them. And today is a day that we should unite, to unite for hope, for opportunity, for a brighter future for all our people. And the thing that has always united us in Canada is the promise the country makes each one of us. The promise is very simple. It's like a contract, a very simple deal. You work hard, you get a great life. You get a beautiful home that you can afford on a safe street, protected by brave troops under a proud flag, that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. That was the promise the country made my wife Anna and I. We grew up here. We both started from very modest beginnings. But the country said to us, if you work hard, if you give it your all, you follow the rules, put your shoulder to the wheel, you can achieve anything. And my friends, the reason I'm running for Prime Minister is to restore that promise for every single Canadian, for a change. C'est ça la promesse du Canada. We want change.
We want change. We want change. We want change. We want change.
We need change, my friends, because after a lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime, we cannot afford a fourth Liberal term. We need change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, unleash home building, bring home affordable food and houses so that every single Canadian can have a beautiful life under our wonderful flag. That's the change we need to bring home. Après la décennie perdue des libéraux, on ne peut pas, une décennie perdue des libéraux, de criminalité, de coût de la vie qui s'explose. On ne peut pas payer le prix pour un quatrième mandat. Il faut que ça change avec un nouveau gouvernement conservateur qui va couper les taxes et les impôts, libérer la construction de logements, des maisons et de nos ressources naturelles pour qu'on puisse être fort et se tenir debout pour le Canada. C'est ça le changement que nous choisirons demain aux élections. But my friends, for so many of our fellow citizens, that promise today is broken. Every day I meet people who are just hanging on by a thread. The seniors who are choosing between eating and heating. The single mothers who go to bed with their fridge empty, their stomach empty, and their bank account empty, wondering how they will feed their kids when they wake up in the morning. The families who now in Toronto leave their keys at the front door so that if the car thieves come along, they can just take the car without doing any harm. So many people feel like they have lost control of their lives and that promise no longer exists. But we are here today with a message of hope that by voting for change, we can restore that promise and that every single family in Pickering and right across the country can have a safe, affordable life and that the sky will be the limit if they work hard. That's the change we're restoring, my friends. And a change requires action. Alicia, I have some bad news for you. I'm canceling your summer vacation, okay? So if you have a cottage, prepare to rent it out. If you have golf clubs, sell them on eBay. Because we need to take immediate action to bring change to our country. And that is why I have announced 100 days of change. Starting tomorrow, we will pass 3 laws: the Affordability for a Change Act, the Safe Streets for a Change Act, and the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act, all before summer break. Change can't wait. Canadians need change immediately. And that's why they're requiring we get to work with all the parties in the House of Commons. The Affordability for a Change Act will be a very practical reversal of all of the costly policies that have priced you out of homes and foods over the last decade. We know that wild, uncontrolled Liberal spending that Mr. Carney wishes to expand, has caused inflation. And so we will cut back, we will eliminate $55 billion of waste by cutting consultants, streamlining bureaucracy, and cutting back on foreign aid to bring down the deficit, the Liberal deficit, by 70%. This will free up more money that we will use to reward hard work again. Right now, income tax and other taxes take more of your money than food, clothing, and shelter combined. We are overtaxed. We are taxed to the max. We want this to be a country where you keep what you earn, because we know $1 in the hands of the person who earned it will always be better spent than in the hands of the politician who's taxed it. And so, Belen, good to see you. Belen Matthews, our candidate. What's your riding name again?
Center, Don Valley East.
Don Valley East. Give it up to Belen. Belen, do you agree with our plan to cut income tax by 15% so hard work pays off for a change? You're on side. We won't stop there. We will also get rid of the electric car mandate so that you can decide what vehicle you drive. No car tax. We will bring in the Canada First reinvestment tax cut. Zero capital gains tax when you reinvest your money in Canada, building homes, businesses, mines, pipelines, and other. Ashik, What do you think about the idea of giving people lower taxes on work and investment in Canada for a change?
It's the right idea.
There you go. The straight answer from a politician. Nice change, isn't it? How do you like the idea of giving up your vacation to make it happen?
Anything for Canadians.
There you go. That's the attitude. That's the attitude, my friends. Taxes are smothering not only our work and our investment, but they're taxing our energy. The carbon tax, which is still the law of the land, by the way, even though they've hidden it from the pumps for the 28 days leading up to the election. We will axe the entire carbon tax for everyone, for everything, for real, for a change. And then there's housing. Our young people can't afford a place to live. It now takes 20, and for our youth. Do we have any of our young people here today? Thank you so much. Our youth have so much hope from our campaign. They want to do they've done everything right. Our young people have done it all right. They worked hard, they got an education, now they have a job. All they do is work, this generation, and yet they feel like they're getting nowhere. They barely pay the rent. I met a guy in Vancouver area yesterday. He's spending $5,000 a month on rent for a very modest home. We have right now the most expensive housing. We have the most expensive housing in the G7, even though we have by far the most land to build on. Look around you. We have so many opportunities to build that land, but the biggest cost for a new home is government. Taxes, red tape, delays. Lawyers, accountants, consultants, lobbyists all have to get paid to drive through construction that takes about 7 or 8 years to even get permitted to get off the ground. 1/3 of every house you buy today is just taxes. More money from a new home goes to bureaucrats in offices than goes to the carpenters, electricians, and plumbers who actually build homes. And to add insult to injury, those tradesmen cannot afford to buy the houses that they build. My friends, we're going to change that. We will take leadership. Conservatives will axe the federal sales tax on new homes to save you $65,000 on a purchase for a change. We will incentivize municipalities to cut their development charges by up to $50,000 together. This will save up to $100,000 of taxes on a new home so that our young people and our seniors, for that matter, can afford a respectable, dignified place to live for a change. That's what we need. Build the homes. I love you too, my friend. You're right, I do have a beautiful family. And thank you. I'm very blessed to have this family. And we're doing this because we want every family to have a beautiful future here in Canada. And thank you. But Canada is a beautiful family. Yes, that's right. I'm getting a lot of help here with my speech. A lot of good material. Who wants change? We want change. Thank you. We're going to bring it home, and we're going to bring hope as well. Hope for everybody. Hope that our economy can generate more opportunity for every single person. We should be the richest country in the world. And that is why we're going to pass the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act. This law will repeal the anti-development liberal laws like C-69, the energy cap, the industrial carbon tax, the tanker ban. We will grant a permit for the Ring of Fire within 6 months of taking office to unleash our incredible strategic minerals. We will approve nuclear plants, power stations, data centers, and countless other major industrial projects. We'll go from the second slowest to the fastest permits anywhere in the OECD. This will unlock 6-figure paychecks for our blue-collar workers, of whom we're going to have more. We're going to partner with our unions to train 350,000 tradespeople, young people with boots, not suits. Boots, not suits. We have any tradespeople in the crowd today? And we're not done there. We're going to bring in tax fairness for our traveling trades workers act so they can travel from one job site to another and write off the full cost of food, transportation, and accommodation. We will give a big, beautiful box the size of the back of this truck that will go to every single high school principal with modules for every licensed trade on how young people as young as 14 can get started in a pre-apprenticeship. Train them up, get them working. We want them to bring home the most powerful paychecks imaginable, but in order to do that, we need change. We need to pass these laws to bring the change. And finally, we will pass the Safe Streets for a Change Act. We have to stop the crime for a change. Is there any crime around here? Yeah. What kind of crime have you seen? Auto theft, home invasions. Yeah. What's that? Jewelry stores. Yes, the videos of jewelry stores being smashed by vehicles driving right in the front glass windows and then taking all the jewelry. They're driving their vehicles right through the glass. And this is the kind of chaos that we had never imagined could happen in Canada. But we know the solution. We will stop the crime. We will repeal the catch and release bail law, C-75. We will repeal house arrest, C-5. Prisoners will do their time behind bars, not in the comfort of their living room. We won't stop there, though. We will repeal the Paul Bernardo get out of jail free card. He will go back to a maximum security penitentiary. There will be life sentences for fentanyl dealers, human traffickers, and large-scale gun smugglers. We will secure our borders with high-powered scanners of shipping containers, watchtowers along the frontier, and 2,000 more CBSA officers. And we will pay for that by canceling the ridiculous multi-billion-dollar gun grab that targets licensed, law-abiding hunters and sport shooters. Our goal is to protect Canadians from criminals, not protect turkeys from hunters. And we will ensure that there's real accountability. Anybody convicted of 3 serious offenses is going to be hit with the 3 strikes, you're outlaw. 3 strikes, no parole, probation, house arrest, or early release. They will do their sentences in jail, minimum of 10 years, and even after that sentence is over, they will not get out unless there is perfect behavior, clean drug tests, and they've learned a new skill that will allow them to be employable in the economy. We're going to stop the crime, my friends. We're going to bring home safety. But to be a truly safe country, we need our people off drugs. 50,000 people have been lost to the fentanyl and the opioid overdoses. We know the solution, my friends. We will invest in treatment and recovery for 50,000 people so that we can bring our loved ones home drug-free for a change. Oh, we love you too. And my message to anyone who is suffering from addiction, have hope, hang on, help is on the way. We'll secure our borders and we will honor those in uniform. We will rebuild the Canadian Armed Forces to protect all of us and reassert our sovereignty. We'll build 4 big, powerful new icebreakers to dominate once again in our Arctic waters. We will also re-equip our troops. We will fill the vacancies in the Army, Navy, Air Force, build new landing strips in the Great North, and we will build the first Arctic base since the Cold War, CFB Iqaluit. And we won't stop there. We will ensure that our veterans have the support and respect they deserve. They fought for us. They need a government that will fight for them. My friends, what's that? No, that's right. We will not be encouraging medical assistance in dying for our veterans. We will offer them a life worth living that they fought for and deserve. That's right. That is the message of hope we bring, and it's the message that I want to impart to every single Canadian. I send the message out to the single mom who's struggling to feed her kids. Have hope. Change is on the way. To the young man who works all day, every day, and yet can barely pay his rent and has no hope of owning a home, let me tell him that that hope is coming because change is on the way tomorrow. To the seniors choosing between eating and heating, have hope. Help is on the way for you too. We will bring home Canada's promise in a country where anyone from anywhere can do anything. Dans un pays avec une promesse que chacun qui travaille fort peut avoir une belle vie dans une maison abordable, sur une rue sécuritaire sous notre fier drapeau. C'est ça le changement qu'on va apporter. C'est ça la vision que nous allons voter, pour laquelle nous allons voter demain. That is the vision for which we are fighting and for which we will all go out and vote tomorrow. The Canadian promise that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful, affordable home, protected by brave troops on a safe street under our proud flag. Canada forever. Let's bring it home.
Yeah, we fight for what's right. We're wild and we're free from the mountains above us. And all you can see.
Conservative movement. She's the driving force behind conservative merch and Pierre's #1 supporter. In 2024, she launched Their Stories Matter, an online platform dedicated to giving a voice to survivors of human trafficking. Anita is committed to supporting women and elevating them through her online magazine, Pretty and Smart Co., and her Lead Her Forward initiative, which seeks to pay it forward by inspiring, connecting, and elevating women. But she will tell you her greatest accomplishments, most important roles, are being a supportive wife and the proud mother of Valentina and Cruz. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Anita Poillievre.
Hello. It's been quite a journey. So Canada, here we are, in a very crucial time where we must decide whether we're going to elect for a 4th time a Liberal government that has left us with a weakened economy, rising crime, unaffordable housing, and a divided country, or are we going to elect a Conservative government who's going to put Canada first for a change? This journey began 3 years ago for my husband and our family. So allow me to be a little bit emotional today. My husband has been traveling from coast to coast to coast so that he can listen directly to Canadians. Because what we need is the government of the people, by the people. Leadership is not born in the boardroom of the elite. Leadership is not born from fancy degrees or titles. Leadership is born from the true love of our country, patriotism, our true north, strong and free. And yes, my husband has dedicated most of his adult life to this, to be right here at home, fighting for our youth, our families, our seniors, to always, always put Canada first. So, with all due respect, when Mr. Carney says that my husband doesn't know how the world works, I'll tell you what. My husband knows how Canada works and how to make it work for all of us. I truly believe in all of my husband's policies and that they're going to help all of us, and I support him. But in order to understand why are we doing this? You need to know the family behind it all. My husband, he was born from a teenage mother who gave him out for adoption to 2 school teachers from Saskatchewan. His parents, they work really hard and they lived paycheck to paycheck. He was raised in humble beginnings, moved from Calgary to Ottawa, and he worked really, really hard for everything. Nothing was given to him. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela. And creo que hay varios latinos aquí hoy presentes. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, and my family immigrated here when I was 8 years old in 1995. There were 6 of us living in the east end of Montreal in a very small basement apartment, very cramped up. My father, he was a bank manager back home, and he traded his business suits for secondhand clothes to come here and pick up fruits and vegetables, because that's all he could do to feed our family. He taught me that there's no greater dignity than to provide for your own family, and that all work is dignifying. My father is here, present. He was here when we launched. There we go. He was here when we launched at our first rally, and he's here at what could be the last rally where I introduced my husband, because the other ones were going to be whistle stops, so it'd be fairly quick. And I'm sure that as an immigrant father who had to give up so much and sacrifice so much for the future of his children, I'm sure he never thought that he would see me on this stage. But that is what the Canadian Promise is all about. By the time that I was 17, I had moved out of home and become 100% financial independent. By the time that I was 19, I packed up my suitcase, left Montreal, went to Ottawa, took a student loan, grabbed a job. I fed myself, paid for rent, paid for food, and put myself through university, all by myself. By the time that I was 25, I had succeeded. I got my degree, got a good job in the Senate of Canada. I had saved $25,000 so that I can put a down payment on a little townhouse, 2-bedroom in the east end of Ottawa. That was in 2012 when it was $230,000. That was 3 years before the Liberal government took office. And that was the Canadian Promise. That used to be the Canadian Promise, that if you work hard and you do everything right, you can get ahead and afford a home and start a good life. And so it has been an honor of my life to stand by my husband's side from the beginning of this journey every single day, to fight with him for you, and you have been there all along for all of us. Thank you so much. I love seeing all of you, and it's been a pleasure every time that we can shake hands. So please, you've been showing up in strength, It's time to show up in strength, and on Monday, you have to get out and vote. Because, ladies and gentlemen, together, all of us, we are going to make Pierre Poillievre the next Prime Minister of Canada.
Thank you very much. Who's voting for change for Canada? Who's voting for homes and food you can actually afford for a change? Who's voting for safe streets for a change? And who's voting to bring home the great Canadian promise for a change? Wow, what an incredible crowd we have here. Look at the size of this. Amazing. Have you all been out to vote for change already? Are you going to gather up your friends to vote for change? You're going to drag them out to the polling station and make sure they get it done for a change. Because time is running out. Only one more day to bring home change so that Canadians can afford food and homes and live on safe streets. You have to get out and vote to make it happen. Now, before I get into the substance of my remarks, I think we should all take a moment to acknowledge the terrible tragedy that unfolded late yesterday in British Columbia. All of our hearts and prayers are today with Canada's brilliant and proud Filipino community who've lost so much. I ask you to say a little prayer for all of those who are without a loved one today or who may have lost their lives themselves. We unite as Canadians in honoring all of them, and we take inspiration from the lives that they lived. Thank you very much. My friends, today is a day to unite our country, to bring our people together, to look forward with optimism and hope to the future that can be. And Anna described that future in telling her family story. It's a story that many of you have experienced. Coming here with very little, building a business, starting a family, building a life. A story of Canada where anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. Where it doesn't matter if you've been here for 6 weeks or 6 generations. If you're prepared to put your shoulder to the wheel, you can move forward and achieve anything you want. That's the story that allowed me to be on this stage. It's why I'm so grateful to be Canadian, and it's why I'm in politics today. But that promise, right now, is broken after the lost Liberal decade. Housing costs have literally doubled. They've risen faster than at any time in Canadian history, more than in any other G7 country. I meet young people every day who believe they'll never be able to afford a home in Canada. And you got one right there? Yeah. How old are you? 23. And you want to own a home? Start a family? Build a life? And you have hope today that we can vote for that change and give you that chance? You will. We hear the stories of, I love you too. I love all of you. And it's been the privilege of my life to fight for all of you. And our work is just beginning, because starting tomorrow, we're going to be bringing change to all of Canada. And you know, we have these incredible candidates who are going to help us bring change. Nous avons des candidats extraordinaires. Parce que pour le choix dans cette élection, c'est après les décennies perdues des libéraux, avec les coûts et la criminalité qui augmentent, on ne peut pas payer le prix d'un 4e mandat libéral. Il nous faut un vrai changement avec un nouveau gouvernement conservateur, un changement pour l'épicerie et le logement abordable, un vrai changement pour les rues sécuritaires, un vrai changement pour ramener nos emplois chez nous et se tenir debout pour défendre nos intérêts en tant que Canadiens. Le changement, c'est ce qu'il faut. C'est ça le choix. Now, I hope I don't miss anyone. We have an incredible slate of Conservative candidates who are going to be bringing change to Canada. Ron Chinzer, Tim Crowder, Emily Brown, Parm Gill, Louis Sabara, Sue McFadden, Nadeem Akbar. What an amazing team. But I've got terrible news for them. I've got some terrible news for them. It's very good news for all of you, but it's terrible news for all the politicians. You know, change can't wait. We need affordable homes, we need safe streets, we need to bring our jobs back to Canada for a change. And that is why I have announced that I am canceling summer vacation on Parliament Hill. We want change. So if you have a little cabin, you can go online and rent it out to someone else. If you have golf clubs, you can sell them on eBay, because you're not going to be needing them, fellow representatives, because we want 100 days of change, during which time we will be passing 3 laws: the Affordability for a Change Act, the Safe Streets for a Change Act, and the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act, within 100 days of taking office. 100 days of change. And so the change Canadians need is more urgent than the vacation that politicians might want. And the future that we have is more, you got that right. We got, all right, I got an endorsement there. And thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. It will be a privilege. Prime Minister. Minister means servant. Prime Minister means first servant, and it will be an honor to serve all of you, to deliver the change you deserve. But change requires a plan, and we have a Conservative plan to act quickly to change the direction of our country. That plan is actually called Change for an Affordable Life, for Safe Streets, for Canada First. Let's go through the plan. To start with, we need to make Canada an affordable place for you to raise a family, to retire, to own a home, and to live a life. But why is it so expensive today? Well, the reality is that out-of-control government spending over the lost Liberal decade has flooded our economy with cheap cash, bidding up the cost of the goods you buy. Taxes now make up more of your family budget than food, clothing, and shelter combined. Higher taxes mean less take-home pay and more penalties for hardworking people and entrepreneurs. That is why we have launched a plan to cut $55 billion of waste by cutting consultants, $10 billion annually, by streamlining the bureaucracy, by cutting foreign aid so we can bring our money back to Canada, and by bringing in a dollar-for-dollar law that will require we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending. In this way, we will cut the Liberal deficit by 70% over 4 years. This will allow us to free up money to reward your hard work by cutting income tax by 15%, so you keep your money for a change. Not only that, we will reward production here in Canada. I've announced that as long as the tariffs are in place, Conservatives will axe the federal sales tax on Canadian-made automobiles. In that same vein, we will get rid of the Carney tax. That's the, he wants to bring in, starting next year, he wants to ban you from having a gas or diesel-powered car. He's phasing out, he's capping and reducing every year the number of automobiles that are powered by gas that dealerships can sell. Every car over that limit will pay a $20,000 tax at point of sale. To $20,000 tax on your car. We will axe the Carney tax, and we will make it more affordable for you to buy a car and get around, putting you in the driver's seat for a change. And we are going to bring our investment home to this country. Here we have a warehouse. This is capital. This is investment. We need more of these places, more machines, more technology, more pipelines, more mines. We need it all to bring home our paychecks. We need more home building. But to do it, we've got to cut the taxes on investment. That's why I've announced the Canada First reinvestment tax cut. Zero capital gains tax when you reinvest your money in Canada for a change. We need to unlock the biggest home building boom in Canadian history. And that is why I have announced that we will lead the charge at a federal level. We will axe the sales tax on new homes to save you up to $65,000. We will incentivize our municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut their development taxes to bring down housing taxes by $100,000 for every new purchase and incentivize the construction of 2.3 million homes over 5 years so that our youth can afford a place to live for a change. And we need to have the incredible tradespeople who will be building these homes. Boots, not suits. We're going to team up with union training halls to train 350,000 of our young people in the licensed trades so we can have more electricians, more pipe fitters, more carpenters, more boilermakers with more paychecks. We will incentivize our schools. A beautiful gift to every high school principal. I know education is provincial, so we're going to get some constitutional experts. Thank you, and we will uphold that trust. You know, but I'm going to send a present to every high school principal. Are there any teachers or high school principal here? We've got a teacher over there. So how do you, teachers, excellent. So I want you to know if you're, thank you. My parents were teachers. I love the teachers. And listen, I want to tell you my idea, and you can tell me what you think. There's going to be a big box arriving at every high school in Canada from the Prime Minister's office. And in that box, it's going to be about the size of this stage. There's going to be a module for every licensed trade so that our young people can get started on pre-apprenticeships as early as age 14. What do you think? Boots, not suits. And they're going to be busy because there's going to be a lot to build. We have the most resources of any country in the world. We should be the richest nation on earth. We're going to repeal. We're going to reverse Mark Carney's Keep It in the Ground agenda. We'll repeal the anti-development law C-69, the energy cap, the tanker ban. We will approve the big, beautiful mines that are going to dot northern Ontario and make this province richer through the Ring of Fire. We're going to do it within 6 months to get digging for a change. We're going to also unleash our construction and our production of Canadian energy. We will build Canadian pipelines with Canadian steel to deliver Canadian energy to the entire world for a change, breaking our dependence on the Americans, making us strong, self-reliant, sovereign, so that we can stand on our own 2 feet and stand up to anyone who challenges us or takes us on. We're going to put Canada first for a change. These are going to be incredible jobs, $200,000-$300,000 a year jobs, jobs that feed families, jobs that buy homes, jobs that put good food on the table, jobs with beautiful pensions at the end of it all. That is the bright future that our workers have in store. The businesses that will be supplying the materials and opening the nearby restaurants will boom. We're going to unlock the biggest economic boom in Canadian history, $500 billion of extra economic growth. Bring home our jobs for a change. But in order to do it, we want you to bring those paychecks home to safe neighborhoods for a change. Is there any crime around here? Ron's a police officer. You're seeing any crime these days? Every day? You want to come up and tell us real quick? This is Ron Chinzer, our candidate.
Oakville is one of the most sought-after communities in the country. We're a very good town where if you work hard, you can earn a good home and have a safe school. Sadly, every day or every week, we're hearing of a violent home invasion, carjackings, auto thefts by people that are on liberal, rinse and repeat, catch and release bail system. And that's why we're so happy that you're here in Oakville and you're going to change the laws and keep everybody in jail, not bail.
We're going to support our police. Everybody give it up for the great police officers who keep us safe. After the lost Liberal decade of rising crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder, we cannot risk a fourth Liberal term. We have to reverse the policies that got us into this mess. Liberal law C-75 requires judges release the earliest opportunity and under the least onerous restrictions. That has caused for Vancouver police to have to arrest the same 40 offenders 6,000 times. That means that each one of these guys was arrested once every 2 days for an entire year, meaning they were basically doing nothing but crime all day long. My friends, in Penticton, there's one guy who does so much crime that when he is out of jail, the crime rate for the entire city actually goes up. Can you imagine that? One guy can raise the entire crime rate. I mean, these guys work nonstop. They have no benefits. They're not unionized. They do get room and board. They don't pay taxes. They do have room and board at the penitentiary where they stay for a very short time. They then, it's like the Hotel California. They check out, but they never really leave because they're back the next day. My friends, it's a very simple problem to solve when a tiny group of people do all the crime. And we have a solution in our plan for change. And this is that we're going to be passing it into law with the Safe Streets for a Change Act. We will repeal catch and release bail, C-75. Repeal. We will repeal house arrest and make it so that serious offenders serve their sentences behind bars rather than in their living room. We will repeal the get out of jail free card, C-83, that allows Bernardo out of a maximum security penitentiary. We're going to put him back in the max pen where he will stay. We will pass 3 strikes you're outlaw, 3 offenses, and you go away for at least 10 years, no bail, parole, probation, or house arrest, and you only ever get out with perfect behavior, clean drug tests, and learning an employable skill. You're only getting out of jail when you're ready to contribute to society, not to reoffend ever again. For a change. For a change. We will secure our borders. We must secure the borders. The Liberal borders allow 99% of shipping containers to come in uninspected. That's where the guns, drugs, and stolen cars move. We will bring in high-powered scanners to look into those shipping containers, watchtowers along the frontier, 2,000 more CBSA officers who will be able to inspect and block the contraband from coming in. And we will pay for it by canceling the wasteful multi-billion-dollar Liberal gun grab. That's the Change Express. That's the Change Express. And this lady says she's not a criminal because she goes hunting. Hunting rifles are not the problem. Liberals want to ban your hunting rifle. I want to protect Canadians from criminals. The Liberals want to protect turkeys from hunters. You decide what makes more sense to you. And then we'll protect the hunters. You get the message out to all those who enjoy hunting that they will lose their ability to do that if the Liberals get that 4th term. But Conservatives will protect your rights. We will stand with law-abiding people and rather put the criminals in jail where they belong. And we will stop the drugs. By the way, we will stop the drugs which have been raging out of control on our streets. We've lost 50,000 people to drug overdoses precious souls, brothers, sisters, friends, neighbors, who made a mistake, got hooked on the drugs. You lost your daughter? Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. Yesterday when I was in, the other day I was in British Columbia, if I could, everyone. I was in BC the other day, and we had a wonderful couple show me the picture of a loved one. I walked 5 steps down the line at a rally just like this one. Another lady holding up the picture of her brother. And then down the line to the very end, and a woman told me she lost her husband. None of these people were related. Everywhere I go, I see these tragedies and the pain on the faces of the people who survived. We know what to do. We know that we can turn around addiction and turn people's lives around and get them off the drugs and back with their families. And that's why Conservatives have a plan to invest in treating 50,000 of our fellow Canadians with recovery, detox, counseling, group therapy, physical exercise. I went to one of these incredible facilities in Moncton the other day, and I was talking to these gentlemen who were in the treatment facility, and they said, look, thank you for what you're doing to help us. And I said, no, I'm here to ask for your help. I need you. I have a job for you to do. You need to get better, and then you're going to go out and grab someone else off a street corner and drag them in here, and you're going to get them clean, and they're going to go out and grab someone else, and we're going to continue that cycle of hope till every one of our brothers and sisters overcomes this addiction crisis. We're going to bring home safety and security by rebuilding the great Canadian military and supporting our troops. We'll rebuild the landing strips in the north, fill all the recruitment vacancies in the Army, Air Force, and Navy. We will unlock construction of 4 massive Arctic icebreakers that will reassert our dominance in our waters and keep the Russians and the Chinese out of our territory. Poseidon aircraft will surveil from the top. Fighter jets will attack when needed. We will also build the first Canadian base in the Arctic since the Cold War, CFB Iqaluit. We will honor our veterans, give them the support they need to live great lives. They fought for us. We will fight for them. We will restore our freedoms, repeal censorship, honor the people who came before us, end cancel culture. We will put up new statues rather than tearing down old statues, because we're proud to be Canadian. We love this country, and we're grateful for the people who came before us. We owe it to all of them to pass on the great Canadian promise that they built for all of us. This didn't just happen. If we sit under the shade, it's because long ago people planted a tree for us. The Canadians who came before made it possible for all of us to have the opportunity that we enjoy today. It's a contract between the dead, the living, and the yet to come, that we must pass this promise down the line. We must restore it today so that everyone has the chance to enjoy the opportunities that I had, that Anna had, and that many in this room had. What binds us together is the Canadian promise. Ce qui nous unit, c'est la promesse du Canada, que chacun qui travaille fort peut avoir une belle vie dans une belle maison abordable, sur une rue sécuritaire, protégée par nos braves soldats sous notre fier drapeau du Canada. Il nous faut du changement pour le ramener ici au Canada. Et c'est la mission de ma campagne électorale et la raison pour laquelle il faut voter pour le changement demain. My friends, the Canadian promise is what unites us and brings us together. In order to restore it, we need you to stand up for change, now more than ever, to rekindle the hopes that we inherited from our ancestors and pass them down to our grandchildren. the great Canadian promise that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful, affordable house on a safe street, protected by brave troops under our proud flag. Canada, let's bring it home!
Well, hello, Sudbury. I said, hello, Sudbury. That's more like it. My name is Gary Keller, and I'm proud to be the Conservative candidate for the great riding of Nipissing-Temiskaming. Thank you all for coming out on such short notice. Now, who here is ready for change? Friends, I love this country. I love the promise that this country gave to me and to all of us. I grew up in a small town with the small town values of patriotism and hard work, which back then we knew would get you a beautiful life on a safe street under a proud flag. That, my friends, was the promise of Canada. But folks, that promise feels pretty hollow these days. Families can't afford groceries. Seniors are choosing between heating and eating. And young people have given up hope of ever owning a home. Crime is way up, and drugs have devastated our communities. Folks, it doesn't have to be this way. We need change, and we need it now. We can't afford a fourth term of Liberal government with the same Liberal ministers and the same Liberal MPs who all voted for Trudeau and all of his laws, and the same team of Liberal advisors who created those laws. You can't vote Liberal again and again and expect anything else but more of the same Liberal anti-development, soft on crime, high spending, high inflation, high tax policies. And you're right, don't forget the scandals. Now folks, on Monday, we need you to vote for change with a new Conservative government that will cut taxes, build homes, stop crime, and fix the budget to end inflation. That will end the Liberal experiment with free drugs and instead provide treatment to end the cycle of addiction and despair. Friends, it's time for change. So on Monday, let's vote for hope, for a change. Let's bring it home! Now, friends, please give a warm Saturday night welcome in Sudbury to the next MP, Jim Beloge!
Well, hello everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. It's so great to see you all here tonight, and it's so great to have our leader Pierre Poillievre here in Sudbury again. So everybody, I have an important question for you. After the last Liberal decade, where costs and crime are up and our economy is down and under America's thumb, do the Liberals deserve a fourth term? Or is it time for change? Change to lower the cost of living. Change to build new homes younger Canadians can afford. Change to bring safety to our streets, good jobs, and powerful paychecks. Change with a new Conservative government that will axe the taxes, build homes, unleash our resources, stop crime, and bring home jobs to stand up to Trump in a position of strength. I own a small business, and throughout my career, I've worked in a lot of different industries. But I can tell you one thing. There's only one party that has a plan to unlock our resources, unleash our economy, so we can bring back jobs and powerful paychecks for our people. Only one party and only one leader that will kill the entire carbon tax. That will repeal the liberal anti-development laws that are holding our country back. That party is the Conservative Party. And that leader is Pierre Poillievre. On Monday, vote for the Conservative Party for a real change. Change to help our businesses and give the next generation hope for the future. So I encourage you all, bring a friend, a family member, a neighbor, and get out to vote so that we can deliver the change Sudbury and Sudbury East, Manitoulin, and Nickel Belt needs and deserves. Let's bring it home. Go Blue, go! Okay, we've got a great person coming up here. Let's have a hand of applause for Dr. Ian Symington.
Thank you, Jim. Welcome, Gary. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for waiting for us and being here patiently. I love to see that crowd. That's phenomenal. I'm Ian Symington. I am your candidate here in the Sudbury riding, which is where we are. I'm asking for your vote because change can't wait. After the lost Liberal decade, we can't afford 4 more years of Canadians struggling to afford the basics of life. Buying food, home costs, fueling a car. There's no escaping the effects from the 3 terms of Liberal government. We feel the hit to our wallet every time we go to the grocery store, every time we fill up our cars or our trucks, every time we need to make a big purchase. We could see it in the signs of decline in our streets, the rise in crime and the visible signs of poverty, homelessness, and then unfortunately hopelessness. We can hear it in the voices of our young people who are not sure if they'll ever be able to afford a home or if they'll be able to raise their own family one day. Whatever happened to the promise of Canada? We can't afford a 4th Liberal term. We need a Conservative government, a new Conservative government that will change course fast, that will cut taxes, curb inflation, so you could keep more of what you make and your paycheck stretches more. We need a government that'll change the course on crime with common sense laws to get rid of the turnstile, arrest, and release same day, time and time again. We need a government that'll change course on housing, that'll cut red tape and taxes and make sure that our young people will have hope again to own a home one day. It's time for a change. I can see the signs. It's time for change. Canada needs to head in a different direction. And I know we need to head in a different direction, and I know just the man who can make that happen. And I want to help him, and Jim wants to help him, and Gary wants to help him make the changes for Canada. And you all want to help him make those changes. Pierre Poillievre is a friend. He's a true friend to Sudbury. We know that. He's been here half a dozen times at least. It's my pleasure to welcome Pierre Poillievre.
It's a Sudbury Saturday night. Who's voting for change? Who's voting for homes and food you can afford for change? Who's voting for safe streets for a change? Who's ready to vote to dig some mines for a change?
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your kind introduction. We have anybody having a medical emergency? We have someone here who can help. A doctor. Actually, the first rally I came to with Ian, in the middle of my speech, he got up and left. I thought, what did I say? Jeez. I will. Thank you very much. We will be saving the country together. But so he gets up and leaves in the middle of my speech. I think, geez, this guy's rude. Find out his pager went off and he had to run back to the hospital to do a surgery. So he did the surgery and then he was back out door knocking the same day. So this is a guy who knows how to multitask and you know those moments when a new child is born and the child doesn't cry. And the parents are terrified, wondering if the baby is okay. Well, Ian is a doctor with a trick. When he welcomes a baby into the world as a doctor, and the baby does not cry, he picks the baby up and whispers something in its ear, and all of a sudden the child roars with the worst, most painful cry you can imagine. And the parents always ask, "Doctor, what did you whisper in my child's ear?" He said, "Well, I just told him that his share of the national debt was $90,000. It's also great to have Jim Bélanger here, a great businessman in the energy sector. Gary Keller from up in North Bay, our next member of parliament at Nipissing. And this is the team that's going to deliver change for Canada. Change we desperately need. Change so that you can afford food and homes. Change so you're safe in your street. Change so that we develop our own resources and bring home our jobs. A change that will allow our paychecks to grow faster than our cost of living. Nous sommes ici pour faire changement, un vrai changement, pour que la nourriture et le logement deviennent abordables, pour que nos rues deviennent sécuritaires, pour que nous exploitions nos ressources naturelles afin de se tenir debout contre Donald Trump et d'autres pays, un vrai changement pour mettre le Canada d'abord. C'est ça le but. Because after the lost Liberal decade of rising crime and costs, we cannot afford a fourth Liberal term. We need a change. Today, I started my day in British Columbia. I met a man he's working 3 jobs, spends $5,000 a month on rent. He literally has no spare time. All he does is work to pay the rent. I met another man
who lives in Toronto, was visiting out west. He has to leave his keys at the front door because the police department has advised Torontonians that it is dangerous to hide your keys anywhere that is not visible to a thief, because when they come to break into your house and take the keys, if they start rummaging around the house, they might harm you. So the safest thing to do is politely leave the keys where the thief can find them. And every time there's a creak in the house or a little bit of wind against the window, he wonders, did someone break in to steal my car? Yesterday, when I was walking down the aisle to enter into my rally in Nanaimo, I met three families in a walk of a few minutes who'd lost loved ones to drug overdoses. Every single day, I meet young couples in their 30s who believe they will never be able to afford to have kids because they have no home in which to raise them. My friends, it was not like this before the lost Liberal decade. But I will be very blunt. If the Liberals get a fourth term, not only will these terrible tragedies continue, they will worsen. Mark Carney, yes, I understand. Mark Carney has announced that not only will he keep all of Justin Trudeau's unaffordable inflationary spending, but his platform promises $130 billion of additional spending. If you add Trudeau's planned spending with Carney's promises, a fourth Liberal term would add $250 billion of inflationary debt that will drive up the cost of your food, your housing, and everything else you buy while threatening our economy. Furthermore, they will continue with exactly the same housing hell. The same policies that doubled housing costs over the last decade are the ones Mr. Carney wants to bring forward on steroids. $35 billion of additional housing bureaucracy. And you don't have to believe me that things will get worse if Liberals get reelected. Just listen to what their government said. Have you all read this report? Future Lives, Social Mobility in Question. Let's look at the section. It's called 2040, More Snakes Than Ladders. This report says that upward social mobility will be unheard of in Canada. Hardly anyone believes they can get a better life through hard work, and many believe they will fall behind. It says that Canada will be more like an aristocracy, with a small group of extremely wealthy people concentrating all the wealth, while everyone else is forced to pay exorbitant rent. The cost of living continues to rise to a point that the report warns that people will no longer be able to visit the grocery store. They will have to forage, hunt, and fish illegally on public lands in order to scrounge up a living. Now, if I had warned of that myself, you would all the media and the Liberals would have said, wow, what a dark imagining the Leader of the Opposition is putting forward. But this is not my warning. This is a warning of the Government of Canada, a government department predicting that this is the future on the current path we are on. My friends, this is not the path that we will choose. We cannot afford a fourth Liberal term. It is too costly, too dangerous. We need a change with a new Conservative government. Dr. Gary, Jim, I have bad news for you. Your summer vacation is canceled. I have announced, as Prime Minister, I will put forward 100 days of urgent change. There will be 3 new laws. 3 new laws. We will pass the Affordability for a Change Act. We will pass the Safe Streets for a Change Act. We will pass the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act, and we will not break for summer until every single one of these laws are passed, because change can't wait. The Affordability for a Change Act. I love you too, and I'm going to fight for you to bring to the change that you deserve. We are going to save, and we're going to bring home the country that we knew and the country that we still love. The Affordability for a Change Act. We'll start by cutting $55 billion by cutting consultants, streamlining bureaucracy, getting rid of handouts to special interests, and bringing in a dollar-for-dollar law requiring we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending. The goal will be to bring down the Liberal deficit by 70% to lower inflation and interest rates. Second, we're going to make work pay again. Hard work should not be punished with high taxes after the lost Liberal. After the lost Liberal decade, you spend more on taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter combined. Income tax are the fine you pay for the crime of hard work. Enough. Conservatives will cut income taxes by 15% so that hard work pays off for a change. And then there is the Carney tax. Mark Carney wants to bring a new tax on automobiles powered by gas and diesel. Trucks like this one. Is this an electric? This is electric? No, it's not electric. Did you drive here from North Bay in your electric car, Gary? Not a chance. It ran out halfway here. Anybody drive up to Kappa's Casing in a Tesla? So Carney says that we should ban gas and diesel-powered cars, and any vehicles that go above the quota that they're going to start imposing next year will face a $20,000 per vehicle tax. This will kill 34,000 auto jobs in Canada, drive up the cost of living for rural and remote communities, especially in the north. My friends, as part of our 100 days of change, I will axe the Carney tax and put you back in the driver's seat. And then there's the carbon tax. We're going to axe the full carbon tax for everything, for everyone, for real, for a change. Mr. Carney was in Sioux the other day, and he was speaking to, I think it was Algoma, and he said that the carbon tax on steel is actually good for the steel industry. Higher taxes, they say, will make you richer. This tax will drive our industrial production out of Canada into the United States. So while the Americans hit us with tariffs, Carney wants to hit our industry with his own tariff. The carbon tax on steel, aluminum, mining. Anybody in mining around here? Yeah. It's a tax on fertilizer that you need to grow food, so therefore it is a tax on food. Carney's industrial carbon tax threatens our economy, will drive up the cost of living, and only the Conservatives will get rid of that tax. And by the way, they hid the tax from the pumps for 28 days, right before the election, after they imposed it for 7 years, during which time Carney said the tax should actually be raised. You cannot trust the Liberals with a fourth term. You cannot afford another Liberal carbon tax. Only Conservatives can be counted on to axe the entire tax for everyone, everywhere, for good, for a change. We're going to unleash an investment boom with a Canada First reinvestment tax cut. Zero capital gains tax when you reinvest your money here in Canada. Digging mines, building homes. In fact, we're going to cut taxes on work, investment, home building, and energy to bring back the $500 billion of investment the Liberals have driven south. Our plan will also make housing affordable again. We know that the number one cost going into new housing is government. It's not land, labor, or lumber. It's the taxes you pay and the bureaucrats that stand in the way that drive up the cost of housing in Canada. We will lead the charge by slashing the bureaucracy and axing taxes to build the homes. Within the first 100 days, a new Conservative government will axe the GST on new homes for a change. We will incentivize municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development charges to bring down their taxes by an additional 50 grand for a total of roughly $100,000 of tax savings on every newly built home. We will sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build over 300,000 new homes on federal land. We'll get 15% more permits out of the cities by using the carrot and stick of federal infrastructure money. All told, our Conservative plan will incentivize and cut taxes for the construction of 2.3 million new homes for a change in Canada. And then, we want change. We want change. And you're going to have more change in your pocket because we're going to have more powerful paychecks. The Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act will bring back our resource sector. We will repeal the anti-resource, anti-development liberal law C-69. We'll get rid of the energy cap so that our oil and gas sector can produce more, and we will be drilling, we will be digging, we will be building. There will be more action, and more of the supplies for the resource sector will come from Sudbury. You are the infrastructure backbone of the mining sector. This is the economic hub that will feed the necessary inputs and equipment that will power the future Ring of Fire, which I pledge to approve within 6 months for a change. It's been 14 years they've been talking about the Ring of Fire. Not a single permit for a mine or even for the road to get there has been granted. Mark Carney's minister, Stephen Guilbeault, doesn't even think we should build any more roads. Carney wants to keep the same anti-development laws, C-69, the energy cap. He wants to continue to block our resource projects for radical environmental agendas that will do major damage to industrial and mining towns like Sudbury. Nous avons besoin de nos ressources pour devenir plus indépendants et souverains. M. Carney va garder en place les mêmes règles pour empêcher la construction, même avec des ministres anti-développement comme Stephen Guilbeault. Il est contre les autoroutes. Il faut que ça change. On ne peut pas payer le prix pour un 4e mandat. Il faut libérer nos entreprises et nos travailleurs pour exploiter nos ressources naturelles et redevenir un pays vraiment économiquement souverain pour faire changement. And we're going to build some roads. I know that you guys know how to build roads around here. You have great quarries. You've got Canadian pipelines. You guys want to be supplying some of the raw materials and some of the equipment for that as well. We need the big nickel like never before because we are going to be building like never before once this act comes into place. In fact, we're going to pass a law. It's called the Canada First Shovel-Ready Zones, where the permits are already granted. We draw a circle around an area, we do the environmental review, we figure out how we're going to protect the people and the environment, and then we pre-approve the permits with clear specifications and standards so the businesses can get digging, get building, get doing, and get paychecks into your pocket. That's how we're going to get it done. But we want you to bring home those paychecks to safe neighborhoods for a change, so we will stop the crime. Do you have any crime around here? Crime, is it? Has it been getting better? No. Your son lost his best friend. In the bar. He was shot in a bar. Here in Sudbury? I'm very sorry to hear that. That is a very sad story, and unfortunately an increasingly common one. Everywhere I go now, I hear these stories of rampant crime, of people who are out on bail, parole, probation. He was on bail again. This story repays itself again and again. The good news is we actually don't have a lot of criminals in Canada. The bad news is they're extremely productive, or I should say destructive. The same 40 offenders in Vancouver had to be arrested 6,000 times. That means that each one of those offenders was arrested on average once every 2 days, and those were just the crimes for which they were caught. That does not include the many things they are not caught for. They basically have to be committing crime all day, every day. There's one guy in Penticton. His name is Levi. This guy does so much crime, the police tell me, that the crime rate for the entire city of Penticton goes up when Levi is out of prison. One guy. My friends, this is insanity. But it is the result of Liberal Bill C-75 that requires judges release offenders at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions. And C-5, which allows repeat violent and sexual offenders to do their time in the comfort of their living room under something called house arrest. Or C-83 that allows Paul Bernardo out of maximum security penitentiary into a medium penitentiary. We cannot risk a fourth Liberal term of crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder. We need change. And our plan to bring that change within the first 100 days is to pass the Safe Streets for a Change Act. Here's the plan. We will repeal catch and release bail, C-75, gone. We will repeal C-5, house arrest, gone. We will repeal the Paul Bernardo get out of jail free card, gone. We will also bring in tougher laws. Anyone found guilty of 3 separate serious violent offenses will be ineligible for bail, parole, probation, or house arrest. They'll go to jail, and they'll stay there. They will stay there for at least 10 years. And after that time, they will only be released with a perfect record of behavior, clean drug tests, and by learning an employable skill. If they fail to do that, then they will not get out of jail ever. That is the plan to make our streets safe again. And when it comes to multiple murderers will be held to account. We're not going to give them bulk discounts. They're not going to serve just one 25-year sentence for all the murders they did. I will use the notwithstanding clause to lock these mass murderers up for life, for a change. We need change. And we will have change, my friends. Change is only a few days away. Are you going to get out and vote for change? Change to save the lives of our loved ones who are addicted. We will invest in treatment for 50,000 people to cleanse their bodies and heal their souls, to get off the drugs and get back to a good life. We will secure our borders to stop illegal drugs, guns, and stolen cars from moving back and forth. And we will pay for the 2,000 extra officers and the scanners and the watchtowers. We will pay for all of that by canceling the ridiculous multi-billion-dollar Liberal gun grab that... Make sure everybody knows, if the Liberals are re-elected, your hunting rifles will be banned. It's funny. It's funny, they say that by 2040, people aren't going to be able to afford groceries, so they're going to have to go hunting and foraging. But they're going to ban your hunting rifle. So you better get pretty good at archery or a slingshot or something.